Hi PUBG Esports fans, I'm your PUBG Esports guide, Annie, and I'm here with Paper Thin.
Hey guys, it's great to be back for another episode of the PUBG Esports News Show.
So we brought a special topic today. We're going to talk about PEPS Plus. We've collected a lot of questions from PUBG Esports community from all over the world, and we're going to be answering to those questions today.
Yeah, so PEPS Plus is a system that goes more in depth with PUBG stats, just beyond the normal basic things like kills and damage.
So let's hop into the first question.
All right, first question. Are you planning to open a website just like General API?
Since PEPS Plus is still in the beta service phase, not all the indicators are finalized, but once it's finalized, our developers are planning to open the websites for users to check the indicators at a single glance, but we're not sure that if it's going to be happening in the near future. Let's see the second question. There seems not enough data since only PCS data is included in PEPS Plus. Are you planning to add data from regional leagues and qualifiers or etc.?
Yeah, so when PEPS Plus was first introduced, our developers wanted to add the regional data in. However, because each region is allowed to do their own formats, it didn't quite work out in terms of allowing it for each region.
Okay, let's go on to the next question. Are you planning to include data in 2019 when the super rule set was applied?
Okay, so if you include 2019 data in the current PEPS Plus system, it's gonna throw things off a bit. Part of the reason is because a lot of players have either retired or changed teams or even regions in some case. So that's gonna make things hard to compare to 2020 and it wouldn't really reflect correctly.
That's true, but our developers will pile up 2020 PEPS Plus data and share players' yearly performances and conditions through 2020 overall PEPS Plus. Let's move on to some more specific questions about PEPS Plus categories.
All right,
Okay.
So let's see. First question, what is the meaning of numbers in each stat? So what does it mean to have a high number?
So as for the player stats, all the indicators are listed according to their respective scores. For instance, even if a player records 100 in the finishing indicator under the battle category, this doesn't mean that this player has nothing but knocks and kills, but instead, this means that the player records the highest score in this certain indicator in the region concerned.
So that means there can only be one player with a 100 score in each category.
Yeah, he's at the top. Also for player types, all the indicators aside from combat distance and performance by map are listed according to their respective scores. These two indicators shows players' gameplay style.
Right, so if the player records a high score in these categories, that would mean that this shows their respective game style well.
That's true. So let's move on to the next question. Ooh, this question is interesting. In North America, Luke 12 ranked first in terms of damage, but why was his ranking so low? To compare with, Shrimzy with lower damage stats than Luke is showing much higher numbers in battle category. Why is that?
Okay, so this one, yeah, is a little bit confusing and probably one of the most popular questions we got. So in this case, this is mostly talking about the firepower stat here. So for Luke 12, while he did an incredible amount of damage over the course of the tournament, it was over longer periods of time. Whereas Shrimzy was doing a lot of damage in very short amounts of time. And another one to keep in mind is, for example, finishing. That one just means how often your damage is resulting in a disabled state like a knock or a kill. All right, so let's move on to our next question. Can you explain the survival stat a bit more, as it doesn't seem to simply match the amount players heal?
For this, I can bring the quote from the dev letter. It is said that a higher weight is applied to the time survived than to the amount of health recovered. This means that the simple heal amount doesn't really give a big impact to the stats. Survival time gives more impact to the stats. So if a player heals himself a lot in the blue zone, related stats will go up a lot. But as this is actually a strategy to survive as long as possible and out of the circle, our developer thought that this player deserved higher survival stats. Okay, next question is about tactics. As for tactics, we can't always say that the center of circle is advantageous. Do you also consider some cases where the outskirts are more advantageous?
Okay, so tactics is a bit complicated. So first of all, tactics can't take into account the geographical situation, like if you have the high ground or if you're on the low ground or if you're in a compound or something like that. All tactics is looking at is the circle settings and your current situation involved. So it takes into account a lot of different things. Current size of the safe zone, where you are in relation to the safe zone, how many players are still alive, how many players are even near you in a certain area, and all of that factors into this stat. Now, this stat, you're gonna do better in this stat if you perform better in worse situations, and if you perform worse in good situations, then your ranking is gonna go lower. So in this case, better or worse is relative mostly to the center of the circle, but there are many other factors involved. All right, next up. Currently, all the teammates have the same team density parameter figures. How will you enhance this?
So for this, our developers said that they did consider applying different stats for each player when developing this parameter, but they decided to make this indicator to help identify each team's gameplay style. So our developers will see if it's reasonable to apply different figure to each player and may make improvements accordingly. Okay, last but not least, are you planning to reflect accuracy-related stats?
Okay, so yeah, it is a little bit difficult with accuracy to differentiate between all the situations and everything. Like, for example, let's say you're shooting at someone in smoke or you're shooting at someone that's parachuting down. That's going to drastically alter your accuracy stats in ways that are hard to really accurately represent.
That's true. Other than accuracy-related stats, a lot of fans and players have asked to add more stats, such as stats related to specific items or weapon. Our developers understand that we have a lot of interesting stats and they can extract those data, but it's really hard, it's really tough to include them in PUBG Plus. We might be able to create another content to play with if you show more interest in such data. Wrapping up, here's the comment from Gerald Kim, developer of PUBG Plus. As PUBG Plus was created for PUBG Esports fans, we will accept and review feedbacks from various perspectives as much as possible, and then refine it to provide the fairest form of stats through in-game data. For the rest of the year, we'll try to expand our data into more interesting and enjoyable content and provide more reliable data to our fans. So today we've talked about PUBG Plus. We've collected questions from PUBG Esports fans and we could answer to those questions. I hope people like PUBG Plus more and understand about this. How did you feel today?
Yeah, I thought today was really, really good. I find these kind of things to be really, really fascinating, especially stats involved with esports. So this was a lot of fun to do and hopefully we can do something like this again.
I had a long meeting with developers to prepare for this content. So next news episodes will be about PCS2, upcoming PCS2. We can talk about regional qualifiers and which teams have made advance to PCS2 events, so stay tuned. And we have a good news today. PUBG Esports official YouTube reached 100,000 subscribers today. Yay!
All right, well, thank you so much, guys, for your continued support. And make sure you stay tuned for more PUBG Esports news.
And more PUBG Esports content.